Hi, welcome back to West Coast Geeks. I'm your host, Joaquin. How we doing, people? You know who's with me.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yep, what's up, indeed? It's my boy, Eric. So, check this out, people. We are doing the top 10 greatest Dungeons and Dragons villains of all time. Hope you guys are
Dun,
hyped for
dun,
this.
dun.
So, the criterias are this. It's based on if you threw out these names, would your average D&D player play? And so it's more geared towards like 5e players. Like, who would they know from the past of D&D's history? Because if you played,
Mhm.
like first and second
Or old
edition,
or old villains that have stood the test of time. You
yeah,
could say that too.
yeah, that's like that. So, I got some villains up there. I don't know if these guys are going to make the cut, so you're going to have to watch the video to find out.
Man.
Yep, here we go, people. Number 10, Igwil. So, normally she
AKA
would,
Tasha for you
yeah,
new folks.
for you new folks, Tasha, normally she would not have made the list, but because they brought her back for Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, she's back in the limelight. This is an old school D&D villain, and let's find out a little fun
And
fact.
that's a,
What?
no, I was gonna say that's a common thing they've been doing with 5e when they do these new books. They're bringing out the old names like Xanathar, Tasha, Mordenkainen, Volo. A lot of these supplement books have the older characters' names, so it's kind of I like that they're kind of keeping the old D&D legacy characters and the legacy lore alive with that.
Yeah, and she's a really interesting villain. So here we
She
go.
is. She's very multifaceted, I guess you could say.
Yep, she's done a lot. Her story is long, but the most interesting about the witch is how to manipulate and intelligent she was, and the great influence upon the world. She's a sorceress of great power, possesses a vast amount of magical artifacts, and had what is that? Themi the clariums?
Simulacrums.
Simulacrums. Yeah.
Simulacrums. They're like clones.
Simulacrums. Okay. Damn it, with their $2 words and my 25-cent vocabulary.
You said my nickel vocabulary.
Now I've upgraded. I'm 25. 25 cents.
You upgraded from a dime
Yeah.
to two dimes and a nickel.
Of herself walking in this world. She's also allied with demons, or she directly controls some of them. And she can spy in the abyss through the iron flask of Turney. Now, what's interesting, Turney, when we start doing the devils and demons, we're going to be going back. And Turney is an interesting character. They actually did an adventure of him. He's the main villain featured in Return to Greyhawk. And not going to throw any more
Mm-hmm.
spoilers out there, but it's a cool Greyhawk adventure for those of you who enjoyed that campaign, which contains a portion of Demogorgon's essence.
Dun,
That's a
dun,
trip.
dun.
I was like, really? I didn't know that. Okay. As a disciple of Baba Yaga and later the Archmage Zagi, for those of you who know who the Happy Mage is, she's a
Oh,
sorceress
Zaggy.
of immense power and knowledge. After having a complex relationship with Zagi, Igwil and the wizard imprison the demon prince Father
Razor blue.
as Father Urlu,
Razor blue.
Father Blue,
Raz or blue.
as
We keep saying it at
Blue,
the same time. It's Raz or blue.
Faz Blue. That's the best you're gonna get from me, people. From whom she learned several dark secrets. Igwil stole the Dagi. Igwil stole from Dagi the Tomb of Vinix, which she later
Six.
modified to become the famous Demonomicon.
Demonomicon.
Yeah, Demonomicon. Do, 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 do. All right, those of you remember that. With the power of the Tomb of Vinx, she summoned and imprisoned the demon prince Gratz. Oh, I love that demon prince, dude. He's so
Yep.
interesting and cool.
Six-finger demon prince.
Yep. Who revealed her the secrets she wrote to the Demonomicon. Do, 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 and forcibly became her lover. Um,
Forcedly.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. like she could
that
really
was never
force
the
him.
case before.
You know, from her relationship with Gratz, Igweo gave birth to Iuz. I know
Mm-hmm.
you want to pronounce it another way, but if you were to
It's
Google it, they
not. It's
pronounce it
use.
Iuz.
No, it's use.
Nope, Iuz.
I'll fight you.
Yeah, correct it in the comments, people. The evil, another of the great villains on this list, which we saw at the very beginning. So I don't know. Iuz might make the list. We'll find out.
I hope so. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's like one of the greatest, top five, easily top five
Mm-hmm.
Greyhawk villains. She is featured in several books, magazines, and adventures of the D&D universe. Her list of deeds is long, but one thing is certain: Igwil craves power and knowledge, and would
Dun, dun, dun.
manipulate everyone on her path to have it. She has not any conjecture if she still lives.
She does. She just
Yeah,
did a book.
yep, exactly. So, I thought this was a good place to start off. Number 10. As far as people really knowing about her, they're just starting to. But I feel like her background, even though this article that I pulled it from does highlight a few things, there's so much more. She was part of an adventuring group that I think it was called the Seven or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
there's not that much information on this group. And I have a feeling that these were like the old original D&D players with Gary Gygax's group. And they really didn't document that much of what they played. They just played, and then
No,
every now
because
and
they weren't counting on it to be so famous.
yeah. And the other thing is too is like people literally demanded from them, like, you need to tell us more about Greyhawk and all these characters, and that's how we have Mordenkainen and Bigby and all these. These were all the original
Yep.
D&D players, and
Well, I
so
told you that friend of mine, Don, was part of that group.
yeah, man, that's so cool.
Yep. Bigby and Mordenkainen, he knew all those guys.
Dang, from the beginning. All right. Since
Nick.
I don't have no special sound machine effect, it's like number 9. Number
Dun, dun,
9.
dun.
Speaking of the most famous beholder, Xanathar. I gotta say, I love this dude, and we're gonna talk about him in a second because there's something I
Yeah.
didn't like about it, and Eric will know what that is, but we're gonna talk about it once I get there. The beholders by themselves make incredible antagonists, then Xanathar overcomes all expectations by being the most renamed beholder in all of Faerun. Or beholder, since the Xanathar is not his actual name but a title, and that's where I take exception with. The Xanathar is the leader of the Xanathar Thieves Guild in Waterdeep. I didn't know that fun fact. Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, he leads.
No,
Go ahead.
that the title Xanathar is a title that a beholder takes when you kill off one of the Xanathars.
I never heard that ever in my life.
Which I thought was weird. I kind of don't like that. I kind of feel like Xanathar would have some backup mage making a clone of him or something, or a contingency spell where
I've never heard that being a title.
yeah, that just takes away to me a lot of the mystique of the character. But all right, whatever. As the leader of the immersed and
new.
well-organized guild, the Xanathar is one of the most powerful entities in the Sword Coast. A name to be respected, Xanathar is rarely seen face to face, usually sending emissaries on his place to do his business. Many activities of slavery, smuggling, and pacts with entities from the Underdark taken in Waterdeep lead deeply directly to his guild. So he's got his tentacles on the pulse, people. The eyes are always watching something, so he knows what's going on. With all the knowledge at his disposition, adventurers might need the Xanathar to help solve complex situations, which leads them to owning him favors and even granting him more power. So he's kind of like a godfather type figure where you can actually go to
he's
him.
A big crime lord.
Yeah,
they call him. He's the worst. He's the worst kept secret villain in Waterdeep or Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's powerful enough where he's protected, but he's not too powerful where they feel like the city was like, we need to deal with this fool, you know?
He deals with most of the underground, and he doesn't really, his forces don't really threaten the uh
The
the
overall
day-to-day
safety of the
things of,
city.
yeah, water deep.
Yeah. So,
He hasn't set his 10 eyes too high.
yeah. And that's good. That's what you got to do as a mafioso boss. Like, just
He's
lay low,
smart.
man. Number 8.
Mm.
Asmodeus, Lord of the Nine Hells. So, this is the second time we had to record this, so hopefully this will go well. I actually had him lower, and I think I did that more out of paying respect. But really, when we go through the list of the other villains, you don't really hear that much about Asmodeus. And
I
while fifth edition players are somewhat familiar with him, it's not like there's really any adventurers that you actually get to meet him. I know in Planescape there might be some mention of him in there where a couple adventures, but you never meet this guy. I mean, if you're playing up against him, the odds are, even at high level, you're still not going to challenge him because, he's like almost a god status at this point.
As he should be.
Mm-hmm. All right. I take a sip of my drink. All right, here we go. Asmodeus, the Supreme Lord of the Nine Hells, also known by the many other titles like Lord of Evil, and he is the most powerful and influential of the archdevils in hell. He reigns supreme of the ninth layer, Nessus, plotting and scheming against all gods and the cosmos entities, with the ultimate goal becoming the true master of the entire cosmos. Pretty good goal to have. Asmodeus believes he's the only one strong and smart enough to create a perfect world filled with law and order, where no wars would ever be fought again, all according to his view of reality, of course. Well, yeah, if you're the supreme being, dude, I mean, you'd be crushing all the rebellions, and that'd be it. When Asmodeus was put to judgment before Primus, the leader of the Motrons, and an impressionable and no, an impersonation of absolute justice. So big was the patience, after several weeks of angels fighting among themselves for the right to talk, the angels were rebuked, but Asmodeus was not punished. That's a really fun story that they tell in Mordenkainen's tomb. Was it Mordenkainen's tomb of something of foes?
Yeah, Toma. Well, it was Toma Phones out some magnificent multiverse or some
Yeah.
bullshit.
So that story's in there. That's a well-known Asmodeus story. There's a lot that we could go into. If you want to learn more fun facts about Asmodeus, you can check out our monster manual. Eric and I, or Eric read through the entire thing, and I chirped in with some comments and funny stories. You can hear what the first stats and powers of Asmodeus was in first edition.
Yeah.
Mm. The
Hashtag
arch
Titan Love Letter.
hashtag title love loader. You can find that video, people. The Archdevil is so important and powerful that he doesn't even bother signing contracts with mere mortals. His aim for greater entities, heroes, and gods to become his new servant in the nine hells. Asmodeus is the most powerful devil in hell, master of all of the devils, since who loves to use continuous to rule the entire multi, and he believes he wants the intelligence to do so. Every other entity is weak or incapable. The Prince of Evil doesn't need to gather mortal souls as he seeks contracts with more powerful cosmic entities. Nobody has ever outsmarted Asmodeus. That is interesting. And he
No.
has thwarted every conspiracy against his rule. That's a lot of devils that he's outsmarting, including demons.
Always, all the time.
Well, if he's got to, otherwise he can't remain number one. Asmodeus is still a lawful entity and embodiment of order, and is always polite eloquent and reasonable. Indeed, he sometimes doesn't even look like an evil creature at all. Like if you saw Asmodeus for the first time, he wouldn't pop up in this form. He'd appear like a
No.
gentleman, and he would be, trying to entice you. And by then, by that high enough level, your DM should know your character pretty well, as long as the player who's playing them. And he would be tempting you with certain things like, you're a paladin. Wouldn't you like the power to stop evil? You know, the paladin would be like, yes, I would. I could grant you such power. The paladin's like, wait, what? So, you can get creative, but the reality is your characters are not going to fight Asmodeus. And even if they come close to beating him, it would most likely be a clone or some kind of avatar. If he thought you had a slimmest of slim chance, he wouldn't even fight you at all in his domain. He might battle you on the Prime world. He'll fight you all day there because there's no
He
repercussions
ain't
to
gonna
whether he
fight
lives or
nobody.
dies.
He has somebody else who is fighting
Yeah,
for him.
so he's one of these interesting devils that you can build a campaign where you are actually trying to stop him. And if you're able to stop his plan, he'll just tell you that you just slowed him down. All right, so number 7. Number
Dun,
7
dun, dun.
are Acererak. So I gotta say, when Dungeons and Dragons first came out, in my opinion, first edition, I gotta say Acererak was probably more popular than Vecna. Eric,
Never heard of him before Vecna.
really, that was S1, the
Never heard
Tomb
of
of
him.
Horrors. You never
No.
heard the Tomb of Horrors?
But you got to realize we didn't play modules. We played homebrews.
Yeah,
Playing pre-made modules was very rare.
well,
So outside of pre-made modules, you didn't hear of a Acererak. At least I didn't.
so give a quick shout out for Just for Kicks. Just for Kicks, leave a comment below. When you started playing, who did you hear first, Vecna or Acererak? And for anybody else listening, leave that in the comment below because Vecna goes back to the original D&D in the sense of the white box. They mentioned him there, and I believe that's where they also mentioned the first artifacts, and that was pretty much all they did. They just dropped his name and the eye and hand of Vecna. Is that correct, Eric?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's all.
learn about Acererak and being number 7. The iconic Lich featured in the Dungeon Master's Guide cover, which we're talking about in 5th edition, is not only a mighty wizard and former apprentice of Vecna, but he also is the creator of the infamous Tomb of Horrors, a more than classic module who is certainly to have killed hundreds of adventurers since its publishing. Acererak learns unlucky explorers into a deadly dungeon with the promise of holding invaluable treasure, only to trap their strong souls and feed his plans of ascending to power and infesting the world with undead. Some editions describe him as being a half fiend before becoming a lich. As an apprentice of Vecna, Acererak has learned the secrets from the first and most famous lich in the world, which is Vecna. But I dispute that since the beginning.
No.
Leave that like that. And that's only because I heard about Acererak before I did Vecna. I was like, oh,
No.
what's this?
What? That is
Yeah,
nonsense.
no. But
I disbelieve.
that's my point of view of the world, and you can't change it,
You failed
people.
your saving throw.
Acererak has a Demencia? How do you pronounce that, Eric?
Domain.
Domain? That's not domain.
It's domain.
Domain. Okay.
Yes.
Domain.
Is that domain?
No,
it's
I'm not saying.
Kinda,
Like, what does Demencius mean? Demencius.
it's kind of like it. The word domain comes from there. It's like an area of land or a fiefdom or a mansion or something for the owners to use. It's basically, yeah, it means the same thing as domain.
All right. Now we got that out of the way. In the negative energy plane, or Shadowfell, according to this edition, his phylactery has never been found, which makes him impossible to truly destroy. That's why he survives each
Mhm.
edition, and they keep him back in new adventures because he is one tough cookie to kill. So, if you survive the original Tomb of Horrors and your dungeon master threw everything but the kitchen sink and allowed the dice or your choices, play as they play out, then congratulations, because I successfully beat it once and have died like 2 times. So it's crazy. I loved that adventure when I first played it because I was a little kid and I did get frustrated at the beginning because there really wasn't that many monsters to kill, and everywhere we turned, everything we did, we're trying to figure out a puzzle or traps are killing us, and I was like, damn. And it was all because of my DM, um, Jeff, whose younger brother Joey is the one who got me into this because his brother was a DM and he decided to introduce his brother to the game. And he also wanted to do play testing. So we would play test through all these adventures and he would see if there were any problem areas, and he would make those adjustments. So I was kind of fortunate that I got to play through all of the early classic um, advanced Dungeons and Dragons modules and able to take that knowledge and be able to go through these adventures again. And now I'll be sharing this knowledge with like future videos. All right, last part. Tomb
Yeah.
of Horrors was a deadly dungeon that few parties have managed to finish with success. It was created by Gary Gygax to challenge overconfident players and crush their expectations with cruelty and a touch of sadism. No, sadism. So
Sadism.
you should tell Martin to run you guys through this, dude. I think
Mm,
I don't know if
he
Thurman
would
would
love
really
to.
like it, but
No. Well, Thurman, he enjoys a good hack and slash.
all right. So if you guys get a chance, you can get the what is it? The yawning portals, and they
Yeah.
update all this. But the problem is, I feel with fifth edition updating this, they took away a lot of death saves. I heard, and that takes away
I
from
hear.
the model. You gotta have save or
Uh,
die, otherwise, And the other thing
never
is,
die.
you're gonna have to really set your difficulties for traps, where they should have to roll a 15 or higher to detect anything. And if you were to, if they were to use spells that would grant knowledge or detect traps as a DM, I 86 all those spells. I just said your
Why?
magic's not. I just said your magic's not strong enough to traps
Mm,
in Tomb of Horrors. You're gonna have to figure it out the old school way by gently
mm.
probing. That's why you had a 10-foot pole, people. All right,
Damn people.
number 6. Count Strahd von Derevich, the first vampire. It's a classic villain. We played through Curse of Strahd. I highly recommend playing this with your group. Eric, did you have a good time playing through this
Yeah,
adventure?
I liked it. I liked
Yeah,
it. I wish I could have finished it, but
yeah,
yeah, it's a good adventure.
yeah. We're actually Eric and I are going to be doing some videos because we lasted, I think, around 25, 23, 24 sessions, and
Yeah,
so
that was a lot.
I
Didn't think it was
really
that
want to
many.
set up the very beginning part and do tutorial videos because I did add some flavor to it, and I think you guys can get some fun out of the flavor that I added to it. All right, so let's learn about Count Strahd and why he's number 6. Was a strong warrior in his father's army, and from the lands he conquered in the war, he created the land of Barovia, on which he built Castle Ravenloft. Life after the war changed the warrior into a dark person, so he decided to make a pact with the dark powers of the Shadowfell in order to achieve eternal life. Strahd then fell in love with a beautiful lady of the village, Tatiana, but she loved his younger brother, Sergi. Instead, Strahd murdered his brother, drank his blood, sealing his pact with the Dark Powers, becoming the first vampire. Tatiana fled from him and threw herself from the walls of the castle, dying, which which is very similar to the origin of the original Dracula, right?
Yeah, it's basically Dracula. That's how Tracy Hickman had it.
Yep. Today, Strahd is cursed to live trapped in Barovia, which was transported to a Demite plain surrounded by fog, while being tormented by repeatedly resurrected soul of Tatiana, a love he is forced to reunite with and lose eternally. And so,
See, I'm surprised.
go ahead.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but as much as you love Strahd and the whole adventure and everything, I'm surprised you never got a hold of Dragonlance because it's made by the same guy.
So,
Tracy
I
Hickman
was
and Margaret
out.
Weiss.
I was out of D&D by 91, and
Yeah, but Dragonlance
occasionally,
was the mid '80s.
no, but we're talking like once I got into junior high, I was still playing D&D, but I was also playing this other RPG game, which I still got to do a review of, Marvel superhero game. And so my interest around high school, besides sports, chasing girls, chasing girls, chasing girls, and drinking, I didn't really get into D&D that much. And
But that's
so,
what I'm saying. This was Dragonlance was before all that.
you know what? I don't know. I didn't really buy the supplements. Like I was my group. We were more into Greyhawk, and
Okay.
we were playing Spelljammer. We were God. What's the new setting that just came out? Planescape.
Oh yeah,
We
Planescape,
were
Dark
playing
Sun.
Dark Sun. We played all the old school TSR RPGs like Boot Hill, Gangbusters, um, and the 007, the spy game. I can't remember the name of it. So we were like branched. I was branched off in all these other RPG games and everything. So when Dragonlance came along, I kind of looked at it, but I didn't get into the book. So
Yeah, see, Dragonlance came out in like 80, I want to say 84, 85.
so
Yeah.
no, I just didn't. For whatever reason, I never got into it. Like I'm slowly getting through the audio books on files, and
Uh,
you know,
yeah, some of those voice actors for the Dragonlance stuff is so bad, dude. They're
so
so
I'm
bad.
learning more about Racing and all these
Oh
other
yeah,
characters and stuff.
and
So
Caramon. All right, I
um,
didn't mean to sidetrack.
no, no, no. So and then plus Ravenloft was so big when that came off when that came out.
Yeah.
Just I never got into it, and none of my players ever mentioned it. So it was one of those things
Really?
where you know we didn't feel like we were missing much. But now that I look back on it, I was like, man, I
Mhm.
should have read those books. All right.
Yeah, the books are great, man. Even if you just read like the first two trilogies, they're so amazing.
Yeah, I gotta get that. Hint, hint to Eric. Christmas present. You can send me the books.
put that in your Amazon list.
Yep. Strahd is the main antagonist in The Curse of Strahd, a remake of the most popular module Ravenloft, which we did play, which originated the campaign setting the same name. He is a very charismatic character. Although evil and soulless, he believes there is no salvation for himself and enjoys tormenting the people of Barovia. So popular is Strahd that he also appears in several novels and video games. Strahd broke the stereotype of the mindless monster in a dungeon and became one of the first vampires with a true personality of the game. So what Strahd did was show DMs how to properly play a vampire. And the same thing with like a Sirac showed DMs the possibilities you could do with a lich. And I sometimes I feel like in the early games, liches and vampires were just something you found in a random tavern or whatever, and you
Hmm.
fought. And you should never treat them like that. These are villains that should deserve names, who should be a major part of your campaign leading up to discovering and fighting them. And all these villains deserve that type of respect. These are not villains that your player characters just go around and just kill. It should be an amazing feat if they even come close to killing them. All right,
Hmm.
number 5. Oh, speaking of the most popular Lich, except to Joaquin,
Oh
Vecna,
yeah,
the
tough
Undying
hot.
King. It was a supplement to the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons, a white box. Initially, only his hand and eye were cited, but on later editions, Vecna appeared personally as the antagonist of some adventure modules. He finally
In the
became a
module Vecna lives.
yep. He finally became a god in third edition, remaining so until modern versions of the game. His artifacts still and are always present. And it also
Oh yeah.
made famous by Joe. How do you pronounce his last name? Maca something, Magaloni or something like that. I know I'm butchering that
Oh,
guy's name.
Manganiello.
Magellano. Yeah.
Manganiello.
In Critical Role, he chopped off his hand and he put
Took it for
the
himself.
he took it from Vecna's hand, and you get to face his character in Avernus. And what is it? Something to Avernus?
Avernus.
Avernus? Yeah, but what's the name of the
Yeah.
adventure?
Oh, that's Descent into Avernus.
Yeah, Descent into Avernus. So you can face his character there. That's one of the games. That's one of the modules Eric eventually wants our group to go and do.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Yep. Vecna's evil influence upon the world is now exerted through his cult and by the bearers of his hand or eye. Both items can be found separately, but together they are much stronger. His cultist organizes in cells named after Vecna body parts, and they expanded it so much
Hmm.
after these. These are the two most powerful artifacts. They pray and fight for the ascension of Vecna among the gods until he remains the only deity in existence. Vecna was a powerful lich who conquered a vast empire. He learned the secrets of lichdom from no other than the demon lord Orcus. I wonder if he'll make the list. His reign ended when he betrayed
I got to be.
Kash, who cut off his hand and eye, which is also the famous artifact, the Sword of Kash. The hand and eye of Vecna are
Hmm.
powerful artifacts presented since the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons. Using the Eye of Vecna might occasionally allow Vecna to rip off your soul, devour it, and take control of your body like a puppet. Yeah, that's incentive to use the eye.
Oh
Because at that
yeah.
point, your character just takes the DM just takes your character and rips it up in front of you and goes, "I am now Vecna." You're like, "What?" Go re-roll another
your,
character.
your character
No.
is now Vecna.
Using the hand of
I
Vecna
have
will
plans. I'm
brutal.
starting. What was that?
I said that is cool. I would
Yeah,
love to do that
I
to
have
you guys.
plans of starting a new campaign in a couple weeks, and I'm gonna base everything in Waterdeep.
Nice.
And I'm kind of because Waterdeep's great.
Yeah.
Waterdeep is a great, amazing, fleshed out city. There's so much to do, but they're gonna be spending a lot of time in the in Alistair Blackmane's dungeons,
Mm. All
and I'm
right.
thinking of huh?
That's all right. That sounds interesting, dude. Keep me informed on
Yeah,
that.
I'm putting a lot of stuff in there, and I think one of them is going to be a cult that's on the verge of bringing Vecna back.
Nice. That would be a cool venture. All
Yeah,
right. Using
I'm
the
looking
hand
forward
of
to
Vecna will constantly you commit evil deeds. So, Vecna is, you know, Vecna made the list. Regardless of Stranger Things, Vecna would have made the list.
that.
I pushed him down further because of Stranger Things. More people know about Vecna than used to before.
Yeah,
If it
same
wasn't
thing
for
with Devil
Stranger
Morgan.
Things, I don't know if 5e would really touched on Vecna that much.
Well, 5e,
Hmm.
but 5e really hasn't done anything because
Yeah,
all that Joe Manganiello stuff that
yeah,
was before Stranger Things.
that's what I'm saying. Like, would they have touched Vecna if Stranger Things didn't make it so popular?
No, what I'm saying is Critical Role and Joe Manganiello, they did that before Stranger Things.
Yeah, but I'm talking like not that many. No slight to Critical Role, but more people watch Netflix who are non D&D players than people who are non D&D players watch Critical Role.
Are you saying that Critical Role wouldn't have done the thing with Joe Manganiello and Vecna if it weren't for Stranger Things?
No, I'm saying because of
Okay.
Stranger Things, Vecna is popular among 5e players. I mean, yes, Critical Role
Oh,
helped with that. But okay,
I
let me
thought you
put
were. Go
Stranger
ahead.
Things. It helped expose or helped promote Vecna where they wouldn't have. I don't think 5e would have promoted Vecna just based off of Critical Role. Is what I'm saying. It wasn't until
But
they're
5
like,
E really hasn't promoted him though.
no,
What
they
have they
did
done?
with Stranger Things. They came out. You can if you go to D&D Beyond, I guess. I remember I downloaded it. They updated his stats. They put more information.
Oh
So
yeah, they did that because of it, but it wasn't. They didn't put him in any. They haven't put him in any print.
no, they
Not off the internet.
I don't think they will. 5e,
No.
you know, 5e is interesting in the fact that I don't think they have a good direction right now. I think they're scattered all over the place, and um, I, I hope they don't do Greyhawk. I know a lot of people want them to go back to doing a box set or something of the setting, but I have a
They'll never
feeling
do it.
they would. I have a feeling they'll butcher it, and I don't want to see. I don't
Well,
want to
they
see
also
that.
don't have Greyhawk is a completely. When they moved away from Greyhawk to Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk was strictly a Gygax thing.
Yeah, they don't want to promote him.
Yeah, they still diss it because like his sons in that do stuff at conventions,
Yeah,
but the conventions that Luke and Ernest and Ernie and all those guys do, they're not associated with Wizards of the Coast.
yeah. So that's
So,
our fun fact on Vecna.
oh
Um,
yeah, number
he's like,
five, top
yeah,
five. I'm happy.
number 5. All right, number 4. Number 4,
Yeah, hell,
Orcus. He was coming. Lord of
Orcus
the
beat
Undead.
Vecna. That's
Orcus,
okay. I'm
what?
good with that.
Yeah, he's more
I'm good
popular.
with the order so far.
Yeah, he's more popular. Orcus is the demon prince of the undead. He is one of the most powerful demons in the abyss, second only to Demogorgon, his greatest rival. He hates all form of life and existence and seeks to destroy them all, leaving in place only the peace and quiet of the dead. Orcus is one of the oldest and most powerful, successful characters in the D&D universe, being present in several adventures, the most recent being Out of the Abyss. He has a long story behind his origins, having been killed, then returned to power after series of plots and betrayals. Orcus owns the Covenant artifact, the Wand of Orcus, a
Oh
sentinel,
yeah,
chaotic, evil item whose sole purpose is to satisfy Orcus' desire to slay everything in the multiverse. The wand is described as cold, nil, nihilist,
nihilistic,
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 okay, nihilistic, and
and bereft of humor.
yeah, bereft. Thank you for that. And Orcus lets it fall into the mortal's hands from time to time just to see the unleashed chaos. Orcus is one of the most powerful demon princes, rivaling Demogorgon and internally fighting him for the throne. Orcus hates all forms of life and seeks to kill everyone in the multi-universe, leaving behind only a horde of undead loyal to him. But if he was the only person alive, would he kill himself to become undead?
He's not alive.
Well, he kind of is as a demon.
He's an entity, but he's not living,
Oh, that's a
and he could be
debate
undead.
for
We
another
don't know.
video.
Don't
Realm
get
is
me
in the
started.
yeah. His realm is in the abyss, is a frozen land covered with all sorts of undead, including several liches and death knights. He is one of the oldest villains in the game and the second demon prince to ever feature an adventure after Lolth. She hasn't made her appearance yet. I wonder where she's gonna
Who's that?
place. The
Never
drone
heard
of
of her.
yeah, who's that? Loth.
Who
That a
that?
soap? In the throne of
New
Bloodstone,
edition. Who this?
Witcher has to invade his palace and steal the wand to destroy it, a task that takes them from levels up to 18 to 100. They actually did level 100. It's insane the rules that they put in there. And it's like, yes, 100. Orcus also acts as a backstage villain, being worshipped by mad cultists and mighty necromancers, vampires, and liches alike. If I have an evil undead cult in the game, I usually have it based off of Orcus because it's interesting flavor text.
Yeah.
And um, the current campaign that we're doing right now is a homebrew and it's set in the Greek setting. And so while Orcus and all the other demons are there, the person who really takes the center stage is Hades. So if there would be like an undead cult, it would most likely be the Hades, where you would have some minor cults being dedicated to Orcus, which Eric might find out later in the campaign.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep. All right. Here we go, people. Top 3.
Dun, dun, dun.
What do you think are top 3? Just like who do you think number 3 is going to be?
Well, I do love Loth, and if you haven't put Loth in there, I'm gonna have to stab you next time I see you.
Mm-hmm.
Loth, there's a lot of demon princes, man. A lot of demon princes, a lot of undead, but we haven't run across any mortal villains outside of Tasha.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find out.
So
All
it's
right.
gonna be curious,
Number 3. Here we go. Demogorgon, Prince of Demons. Demogorgon, like Orcus and Loth, one of the most ancient and classical demons from Dungeons and Dragons. He is self-asserted Prince of Demons, the most powerful of them all, and has a pure embodiment of chaos, madness, and destruction. Also called the Sibilant? Yeah, Sibilant, beast and master of the spiraling deaths. Demogorgon
it's ape-like. It's ape. It means ape-like.
Did not know that, but I do now,
yeah.
And so do you.
Guys,
that's why
the
you
original
should.
Ones. If you remember your Monster Manual videos, the original Demogorgon was a baboon type creature. His body was the shape of a baboon.
And if you made it this far, you gained some knowledge that you would not have gained if you weren't watching our video. So by now, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment below. Eric and I are sharing our in-depth D&D history. So
and then go check Monster Manual, the letter T for Titan Love Letter.
Yep, Titan Love Letter.
Letter T.
Letter T. In fact, just start with number 1 and work your way up. You should enjoy the series. All right, that is good and undermining order in the multi-universe to see everything dragged howling into the infinite depths of the abyss. So Demogorgon is like the Joker. He just wants to see everything thrown into chaos. His ultimate goal is to wipe out the multi-universe, all forms of life and existence, including his own cultists. His 2 heads, Amiel. How do you pronounce that?
Which one? Amiel.
Amiel and Hath.
2 heads, Amiel and Hathraja.
Hathraja. That's cool, even though I can't pronounce it. Hathraja.
If I remember correctly, they're of Indian origin.
Yeah, a lot of demons and devils are based off of Middle Eastern,
that kind of. Well, they're old.
Yeah, biblical demons and stuff. Represents different personalities and seeks to kill each other. If Demogorgon ends the world, they might devour each other and leave behind nothing but an empty cosmos. Demogorgon is the mightiest of all demon lords, a being unaffected by violence and rage, whose mere presence brings madness to the world. I'll tell you why he's really pissed off. He doesn't have hands, dude. All he's got is tentacles. It's hard for him to grab things. So that's why he's insane. You know, he's like, F this world, this universe.
I don't have fingers.
He's like, why can't they make everything push button? And so it drove him crazy. demons is highly paranoid about threats to his rule, which he should be, because Orcus is always trying to challenge him and meets every challenge with overwhelming force before they become a serious problem. Gratz is another one who is constantly giving Demogorgon problems. His worshippers
But
and go ahead.
no, I was gonna say he doesn't need to worry about Gratz. Gratz isn't even that powerful.
I know, but he's always seeking more power, dude. I believe
He's
Gratz
poking.
controls 2 layers.
That sounds familiar, but that's a newer thing,
Well,
I
we haven't
believe.
got there yet, people. So we still have to do the Fiendifolio and the Monster Manual 2, which I think we're gonna do before at least the Fiendifolio before we do the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's just so many cool monsters in there that I would
Yeah,
like to start doing videos talking about, but I want to do that first.
yeah. Gratz was basically the original Slaanesh.
Yep. Yeah, those of you play Warhammer. His
Yep.
worshippers include, among madmen, troglodytes, the Kuatoan. I love the Kuatoan. And the intelligent
Kuo-toa.
manta ray race known as the Itaquith?
Yeah, it's Itzatsu.
Itzicatio. You know, as a
Yep.
Mexican who doesn't speak Spanish but knows our history, I should know that
Make me
name.
sad.
It is sad.
And you know the bad words, right?
Yeah. He's one of the main antagonists in Out of the Abyss Adventurer, and the scene in which he emerges for the first time is awesomely terrifying, which is cool. Actually, show a picture of it, and if you were to see that in real life, you'd poop your pants. All right, Demogorgon may be the most popular of all D&D villains, thanks to Stranger Things, Tiamat being the other competitor, but not popular enough to make my list as number 1. So,
Unacceptable.
yeah, he made number 3. So, who beat out Demogorgon, you say? Let's find out. Number 2.
Lucky the
Lost.
Halfling.
Demon Queen of Spiders.
There we go.
I'm gonna read the description first and then we're going to talk about her because we really have a lot to say. Lost spends most of her time fulfilling her duties. Wait a minute, hold on 1 second, people. Come here, Apollo. So my nephew came in, and my nephew has a comment for all you YouTubers.
He's a noob.
Thank you, Apollo, for your comment. He loves interrupting my videos and calling me a noob. But you guys don't get to hear because mobily we're playing D&D tonight, but we're having some technical problems with Foundry. So I told Eric, I go, we got to record this video. So normally he pops in during the game to call me a noob. All right. So speaking who's not a noob, Lost, Demon Queen of Spiders. Lost spends most of her time fulfilling her duties as a goddess, giving little importance to her machinations.
Machinations.
I almost got that. And plots of other demon lords. Her lair is a plain spamming web from where she brings her most loyal servants to be rewarded, or her most hated foes to be punished. The Dark Mother, as she is also called, is a very important piece in the history of Elvenkind and Drow. The Queen of Spiders is one of the most oldest and most detailed villains of the game, having been firstly mentioned in Descent into the Depths of the Earth, which is not true because she kind of gets her mention somewhat in, I want to say the Fire Giant, the Hall of the Fire Giant King, but I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure there is a hint of her in there. Only because you would discover the Drow, you would go back to the surface world and to the kingdom and let them know that the Drow are behind us, and the elves would be the first name that they would probably mention. It's like, we're fighting Lolth. So
yeah,
you would, they may not directly mention Lolth in the Hall of Fire Giant King. You would learn about her if your DM did any type of research. All right, so Lolth is the oldest and most powerful and the most famous villain in D&T universe. Both as the goddess of the Drow and a demon lord. She lives in a plane entirely covered by her demon webs. She's a cruel mistress who teaches and follows cruel lessons. The entire society of Drow is based on slavery and dominance, which they are trying to change. It makes me sad. Not that I
I don't.
endorse
That doesn't
slavery, but
exist.
there is evil, and this race, while not all the Drow are evil, and they've even done some Drow articles, believe it or not, 5e people that discuss other Drow gods. Some of them were neutral good, who did not believe in what
Correct.
she was
No,
doing.
that's some. That's some. One.
I don't think there was two.
I. Mm.
And if you know, put that in the comments below. I have to look up in my. I have to go back and research, but I do remember they mentioned some more Drow gods.
The only one I know of, and that's from the old Drow Forgotten Realms book, was Elistray.
Yeah.
He was the Dark Maiden, like goddess of the moon. But I never heard of any
You might be right on
other
that.
one. That was the only one. She's kind of like emo. She's like an emo deity.
And so
But yeah, she was good.
there were other Drow kingdoms besides Menzoberran and other places
Oh,
where,
Menzoberran.
yep, their Loth's domain wasn't dominant. So, you know, while the argument debates on whether all Drow are evil, we both know that they're not, and that's where they should kind of leave it instead of trying to rewrite everything and just saying the Drow are misunderstood. Because why would they then leave the surface world?
And I will say they're doing it with every evil race. They did it. They did it with goblins, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, they're a fey race that's just misunderstood. No, they're
Yeah,
evil.
and
Bitch.
orcs are trying to change them too. And I'm like, dang,
Yeah,
man,
the
these are all
Duergar,
lawful. I
all
believe
those.
orcs
No.
and goblins are all lawful evil. These are lawful evil creatures of darkness that just
Evil.
want to, destroy and conquer and rule. And so you got to have bad guys. If you don't have a
Bad
good
guy.
villain, then you don't have a good story. You don't have a good adventure.
Yeah,
You know,
gotta have a
otherwise
strong villain.
you might as well just go play. What's the 5e from MTG? What is it? Strixhaven. Might as well just go play Strixhaven and role
Harry
play.
Potter D&D.
Yeah, role play going to the prom and kissing your first girl and getting drunk and I don't know, any other stupid thing that you did back in high school. And you know, I know I'm mocking it, but if you enjoy that, if your group enjoys that type of thing, you know, each his own. But don't try to force that type of game style on everyone else. Just like I wouldn't try to force my gameplay or Eric's gameplay on anybody else. It's like, this is what we're playing.
Not
These are the
anymore, anyway.
criterias. These are criterias. You know, not anymore. For those of
Not
you who watch
anymore.
my Chiron video, when I talk about
Right.
not enforcing
Monster
what is
Manual
pure
letter K.
D&D.
Yeah.
She is a cruel mistress.
Hashtag jerk Joaquin.
She is a cruel mistress who teaches her followers cruel lessons. The entire society of the Drow is based on slavery and dominance, and Loth doesn't tolerate weakness. Loth is thoroughly detailed in several books, adventures, and webpage, being one of the favorite villains of both players and DMs. Loth considers spiders as a sacred animal and unleashes her furies upon those that mistreat or kill them. Besides being a mother of the Drow, she is also the creator of the Drider, a hybrid Drow spider Drow spider monster always present in the Monster Manual. So the reason why the Monster Manual is highlighted, I found this article and they listed the top 15 villains. And I didn't agree with doing a top 15 list because I was just like, man, if you're going to do 15, you might as well do 20. And I think it gets diluted. So kind of narrowing it down to 10 and you know, making
a classic countdown number.
Yeah. And not only that, but saying these are the greatest, you know, like these are stuff you build campaigns around, you build your lore around, you can't go wrong. Loth is always going to remain popular thanks to the author of the Drizzt series, Salvador. What's his last name?
Robert Salvatore.
Yeah, Robert Salvatore.
He's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
He's down to earth. He's very nice when you meet him at conventions and stuff.
I've never gone to a Gen Con, dude. I think in a couple of years that should be our
Either
goal,
way,
Eric. We gotta go.
believe
We
it or
gotta,
not.
let's shoot for a Gen Con.
I want to go to Gary Gygax weekend down in Wisconsin.
Well, let me know, man. We should seriously plan that type of trip.
I'm down.
They So thanks to that, Loth is always going to remain popular, and even 5e players know who she is. I can't think of any 5e current adventure where they really. I think it's Out of the Abyss where they might mention her in.
Vaguely, I don't.
Yeah,
A lot of the demons get mentioned in Out of the Abyss. So,
yeah.
but
So
yeah, as far
there's
as
there's no major campaign. They only did that. They stopped doing that in third edition with using her.
yeah, people get funny around demons.
Yeah. So but she's a cool adventurer. So in first edition, you actually get a chance to fight her and have an opportunity of slaying her in the Queen of the Spiderwebs, and it's the first major campaign in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons history. You start off with Against the Giants. You go into the D series, Descent into the Center of the Earth, Descent into the Earth, or I don't remember I always forget that one in the D1.
Descent into the Depths.
Yeah, the Depths of the Earth. Then it's the Kuatoan Temple. Yeah, I can't remember.
Kuato.
Yep. And then D3, the Vault of the Drow. You want to learn more about that? Eric and I just did a non-spoiler, so check that out. And then you do Queen of the Spiders, and by then your characters are like 18th level or higher, and you're facing off against Loth, which is a great way to end a campaign. And by now, everybody should have figured out who number one is. Your favorite,
Dun, dun,
definitely
dun.
Eric's favorite, and Tiamat, Queen of Evil Dragons. Let me read the description here, and then we're going to talk about her. Tiamat, Queen of Evil Dragons. Tiamat, the Dragon Queen, is the goddess of the chromatic dragons and the enemy of her brother Bahamut, god of metallic dragons. She is a tyrannical mistress with an arrogant, greedy, and vain personality. She loves hoarding treasure brought by her servants and keeps one consort of every type of chromatic dragon at all times. Because we all know, if you watch my video on dragons, specifying really just when we talked about Tiamat, Eric was very shocked to learn that if you did 55 points of damage to her body, you killed Tiamat, which meant that an 18th level monk back in the days, or 16th level monk, could be flown up there and hit Tiamat in her body in one turn and possibly kill her. How do you like that?
Yeah. Stupid.
Hear Eric's reaction on that. Watch that video.
Obviously, these rankings are not by power, but by popularity.
By popularity, definitely.
Because I know Asmodeus and Demogorgon and Orcus would whoop the shit out of Tiamat. I'm sorry.
Pretty much.
But because Tiamat has been there since the beginning, she's been in the animated series. She's been, she's transcended to other D&D realms. Like, she started off in Greyhawk. She went to Forgotten Realms. She was in Dragonlance as Takesis.
Mm-hmm.
She's spanned the entire Dungeons and Dragons genre, I guess you could say.
She's always on homebrew campaigns. I dropped little hints to it. All right, so here we go. Tiamat is the main force behind the event in the Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. And she is trying to come to the mortal world summoned by the Cult of the Dragon. And if you're unlucky, you have to face her for real by the end of the campaign. Or in my case, the DM, you're going to face her at the end of the campaign. Tiamat
at the beginning.
At the beginning, level 1. Tiamat is probably the most famous dragon and villain in the history of D&D. I have to agree with that because of the things that Eric mentioned. She was also mentioned in 4 as the most fearsome dragon in D&D history. So not only does she transcend D&D history, she has made it into mainstream. That's how popular this image is. Tiamat has made several appearances in Dungeons & Dragons TV series as a brutal force of destruction being feared even by Venger. For those of you who know who watched that cartoon, Venger, the son of Dungeon Master, who you find out later, became evil and challenged his father's rule. And so,
No.
yep, spoilers. Sorry.
Spoiler alert, you son of a bitch. I was just going to watch that series over again.
But you did say
Oh, I
again.
hate you now, Joaquin.
But you did say
Me and you are
again.
going to fight. Because that last time I watched it was probably 40 years ago.
Feels like it.
You son of... What do you mean feels like it? It was.
It came out in the 80s.
Don't try and make us sound younger than we really are.
We're getting up there. We're almost liches. The Dragon Queen is
We're
cruel,
almost liches. I
tyrannic.
gotta start working on the phylactery.
Yep. Arrogant, greedy, vile, and vain, and so are her worshippers. She is present since the first supplement to the original Dungeons and Dragons Greyhawk 1975. People, I was born in 72. To show you how old I am. She has several deals with devils, and her lair is Avernus, the first layer of hell. And if you were to watch our video about Tiamat and the Monster Manual, you will find out that she actually ruled that layer.
Until it got changed over to Homegirl, Azazel.
Yep. And so, actually got changed over to somebody else before that. She got booted out before that.
She got imprisoned.
Yeah. So, yeah, Tiamat is such a cool villain. I mean, the iconic five-headed dragon. This is D&D at its finest. So everybody's got a chance to see the top 10. Let's do the wrap up. So, all those villains that you saw up in front, the mound, none of them made it. None of them. They are specific if you played the campaign. Like the red dragon that they showed, his name or her name, is popular. Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
And it's not more powerful enough than any of these other villains to take their place. But top 15, top 20 list, yeah, because now you're really trying to stretch on who goes in there. Juboplex, I love that, and Yanni or the Knoll God, Yeenagoo. That's Eric's favorite.
Yep. They're not popular
They're
enough.
not popular enough. They don't make the list, but these are like interesting demon lords.
Your wrap-up picture right there, Koschei. Yep. That's the demon. That's another demon lord of the ice and winter and that.
Yeah. So there are a lot of villains that didn't make the cut because they haven't they don't stand the test of time, and I doubt they ever will.
Yeah, no, I don't. These villains. I mean, it's a pretty good list. I agree. I think I agree with the order too. I was kind of thinking, I'm like, maybe Asmodeus should have been a little further down. But then I started thinking about it. It's not about how powerful they are. It's about how well known they are. And Vecna and Orcus and all those guys are more known than Asmodeus.
Yeah. I mean, people know who Asmodeus is, but it's not that much.
Because he comes from real life. A lot of that is real life,
Yeah. And so it's just one where I kind of threw him in there because he deserves to be in there, but
yeah.
I could easily have not him, and I don't think that many people have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. The only mortals too were Xanathar and Tasha.
Well, Xanathar is a creature, but yeah, the only mortal was.
He's a mortal.
The only mortal was Tasha, and I'm trying to think. Who else? What else mortal could we have put in there that it's like this is an evil person?
As well, but as far as popularity goes, I mean, there's really Alistair Blackmane, maybe. The Mad Mage, but that's
very iffy because
you'd have to be like a D&D fan to really know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There really isn't any. I mean, you could say, but again, this is going to Dragonlance. Raceland is pretty popular. Um, Trying
Yeah,
to think
there's
who
just
else might there
there's
be.
not that. I mean, like hardcore villains. Like this is your list, people. Like if you ever
Yeah,
get stuck on trying to figure out like um who should I make a campaign on, this is an easy list for you to do. But like
yeah,
Eric
and
and
these
I, we
villains
like to
pretty
go.
much. No, I was saying these villains, for the most part, most of them can transcend campaigns because they're planar beings.
Yeah,
They could go from Greyhawk to Forgotten Realms to Dragonlance to Planescape, wherever, or even homebrews. They're planar creatures that allow the explanation of that kind of travel.
yeah, they're easy
With the
fits.
exception of Xanathar, who's
Yeah,
pretty much Sword Coast bound.
yeah.
All the
But
other guys are just,
that Xantar
oh
somehow
yeah, I
found a
mean, you
way
could
into
come up with
your
something good.
homebrew world because he was about to get killed and he jumped through
He went
a
to a portal
he went through a portal, a
with his
plains portal.
goldfish.
He had an amulet of the plains, and he was just like, I'm out of here. And then he didn't, it hit a random desired place, and he's like, maybe I can
I'm
set
gonna
up
set up
here.
shop here. Nobody knows who I am.
Yeah. So there are clever ways you can do things. So
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, it's a good
Oh
list.
wow.
I agree with it.
Yep.
I was
So
I was kind of curious. I was curious when I first started. I have to admit, I'm like, who did he? And I knew Takesis, or I knew Tiamat would be number one because I know how
yeah,
much you love her.
yeah,
But and at first I was like, but yeah, she's probably the most iconic D&D villain.
yeah. You could argue that Demogorgon should have been second, and Loth should
Yeah,
have been
Loth is
third.
kind of. I think Demogorgon would be second. I mean, they're kind of interchangeable, but if you're talking about popularity, I think Stranger Things would have
Yeah,
pushed him over Lolth.
yeah, I
As
think
much
so.
as I
Especially
love
with
Lolth,
the new generation. I think that would be the case.
yeah,
Where the older
yeah,
generation, kind
Demogorgon
of
is
like
definitely probably
ourselves.
more popular than her now, but Lolth has been in it since the beginning as well.
Hmm.
She's been in it, especially in published material since the beginning.
Yeah. All right. So this video is an hour and 6 minutes. So I know
Uh-oh,
Eric's
you
gonna
know
hear
what's gonna
something
happen
from
there.
Dallas. Eric, and
They ain't gonna watch it now.
yep. Well, you can
Too long,
you know what? When you just put it on there, just flip it in, just flip,
right?
flip it
But
on YouTube.
driving to Cali or something, be like,
Yep.
oh, what happened here?
Yeah. Look who's on.
You
It's
know,
West
you
Coast
know what?
Geeks.
I going through this list of villains, I came up with a little something for my character for your campaign, Joaquin.
Interesting. All right, people. We're going to
It's
end it
gonna
on
be
that.
interesting.
We would love your comments about any of these villains. Do you agree with our list? Who would you have placed lower or
Ayus or Yuz
I Izu? No, wait a minute. No, it's Ayuz. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
or
Ayuz.
Yuz
Yep. So
pronunciation.
pronunciation. And then, if you agree with me, at the beginning, when I'm talking at the beginning, I'm talking about the beginning of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons within the first history of the game. Who do you think was more popular, Vecna or Sirac? Leave that in the comment below. All right, people, with
Oh,
that,
how dare you!
I hope you enjoyed this video. And Eric, as always, you get the last word.
All right, it's I don't know. I'm stumped for words.
There you go. People.
That doesn't happen very often.
Yep. Catch you later.
Take it easy, guys.